Episode 1. An ordinary day, an unusual gift. I had never really thought about my origins. Well, not really. There was that one time when I was 10, and I asked my mom if she had picked me up next to the church in a box. She laughed, patted my head, and told me I was her best homemade product. That was the end of my interest in genetics. Until the day I got the DNA test. It was an ordinary evening. I was lying on the couch, scrolling through some stupid videos on my phone, when my girlfriend Emma tossed a small box onto my stomach. "Here, do this. It'll be fun." Seriously? I picked up the box and saw the label. "Discover more about yourself." Emma had always been into stuff like this. She'd done a test last year, and now, after a couple of drinks, she loved telling everyone that she was 25% Italian. It was her favorite conversation topic. It's just marketing. They tell you you have Viking blood, and then they sell you a subscription for premium access to your own DNA. "Are you scared they'll find a criminal gene?" She smirked. "Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely a potential psychopath." I opened the box and read the instructions. It was simple. Spit in the tube, send it back, and in a couple of weeks, find out if your ancestors were ancient pharaohs. I didn't even think it would change my life. I just spat into the tube, sealed it, and set it aside. Done. Prove I'm 100% American. Emma gave me a skeptical look and nodded. "We'll see." That evening, I didn't think about the test at all. And even when, 3 weeks later, I received an email with the subject line, "Your DNA results are ready," I only opened it because I was bored. I clicked the link and looked at the numbers. 10 seconds later, I refreshed the page. A minute later, I opened it on my computer, thinking my phone was glitching. And another minute later, my heart started pounding faster. Because there was no mention of European roots, Indian genes, or mixed ancestry. There was only one sentence. Results could not be identified. Unknown biological structure. And that was it. No explanations, no details. I stared at the page, scrolling up and down. A few graphs. Some numbers that meant nothing to me. But the most important thing, there wasn't even a hint that I was human. I nervously laughed. Well, of course. A glitch. A technical error. They. But at that moment, I remembered something. When I was 6, I got bit by a dog. I saw its teeth sink into my arm, the blood starting to flow. But an hour later, the wound had disappeared. At the time, I thought it wasn't a big deal. But now, looking at the results, I wasn't so sure. Episode 2. Results that change everything. I sat in front of my computer, staring at those damned words. Results could not be identified. Unknown biological structure. And here's the interesting thing. I wasn't scared. Seriously. My first reaction? It was a joke. A technical glitch. Some kind of corrupted database update. Who even checks these things? I dove into the account settings and clicked on Refresh Results. Nothing. Then, reanalysis. Error. Goddamn. I didn't even notice when I called Emma. She walked into the room in her pajamas, her hair tied up in a ponytail. "What are you muttering about? Look at this." I moved aside, showing her the screen. She leaned in, read the line, and laughed. "What the hell is this?" "That's what I'm asking." "Wow. Maybe you're a mutant?" she said dramatically, widening her eyes. Very funny. No, seriously. Maybe they just messed up my sample? Emma sat next to me and started poking at the keyboard. Wait, I'll Google it. She quickly searched for DNA test cannot determine origin. The first link. If your results look weird, it might be a lab error. The second. Why your DNA test could be invalid. The third. Sometimes companies don't have enough samples to analyze your ethnic background. Aha, here we go. She tapped the screen. Maybe your DNA is so rare that the database just couldn't find any matches? I looked at her. Then at the screen. Are you serious? My DNA is so rare that it's unknown? Well, who knows? She squinted mischievously. Maybe you're a secret prince from an extinct people. Yeah, a people without people. I stared at the screen again. I still couldn't shake the feeling that this was all nonsense. That I'd just wake up tomorrow, log into my account, and everything would be fine. But the longer I looked at those words, the more I felt something strange. A heavy, sticky feeling. I went back to searching. I checked forums, trying to find someone with a similar case. But everywhere people were talking about small deviations, strange percentages, but nothing like this. And then I remembered something. Once back in school, we had to give blood for a general test. I was sick at the time, and the nurse in the medical room said she'd check if everything was okay. But when the results came back, she looked at me oddly. You have some unusual blood type. I've never seen one like this. I thought it was just a mistake at the time. But now looking at these results, I suddenly really wanted to know the truth. I'm going to write to them. Who? To the company. I'm going to ask them what the hell this is. Emma shrugged. Okay, just don't forget about the subscription. They'll probably bill you for customer support. I opened the support section and sent a query. Hello. I received my test results, but they indicate some kind of error. My profile states that my DNA cannot be identified. Could you please explain what this means? I clicked send and leaned back. Another technical mistake. What a ridiculous misunderstanding. But the reply came in 5 minutes, and it was even stranger. Episode 3. The response that shouldn't have been. I didn't expect a reply so quickly. 5 minutes. That was way too fast for a company that services millions of clients. Usually, requests like this take days to be answered, but this one was instant. Your request has been reviewed. One of our specialists will contact you personally. Please provide your current phone number. I read it over a few times. What the hell? Emma, who was already lying on the couch again, lazily replied. They want to sell you an extended analysis. Tell them goodbye. But something was off. They didn't respond with a standard reply. They didn't offer a retest. They wanted to contact me personally. I hesitated. Then I sent them my number. And within a minute, my phone buzzed. The number was hidden. Okay, I muttered, taking a deep breath and picking up the receiver. Hello? On the other end, there was silence. Is this customer support? A barely audible click. Then a voice. Calm, level, emotionless. Mr. Henderson? I tensed up. Yes, you inquired about your DNA results. And a pause. We cannot discuss this over the phone. What? Wait, you called me. We need to meet in person. This matter is confidential. My mouth went dry. You've got to be kidding. It's just a DNA test. Tomorrow. 3 p.m. Regency Hotel, room 503. Come alone. Click. They hung up. I stood there for a few seconds, staring at the screen, not understanding what was happening. Emma lifted her head. Well, what's going on? I swallowed hard. They want to meet. Who? The company. Are you kidding me? I shook my head. They said it's confidential. Emma stared at me, then burst out laughing. Dude, they're gonna make you an offer to join a secret government project. But I wasn't in the mood for jokes. Something in that man's voice, the way they responded so quickly, the whole situation. It felt all wrong, but I already knew. Tomorrow, I was going to that meeting, because if there's even the slightest chance they can explain what's wrong with me, I want to know the truth. Episode 4. Men in Black? The next day, I stood in front of the Regency Hotel entrance, trying not to look like an idiot. Why the hell did I even come here? It could be a prank, or some marketing scheme, or something worse. Okay, man, just go in. I muttered under my breath. I went up to the 5th floor. The door to room 503 looked normal. No mysterious symbols, no secret agents, no white coats. I knocked. The door opened almost immediately. A man in a gray suit. Dark hair, a cold look, but no cliché black sunglasses. Mr. Henderson? I nodded. Come in. The room was simple. A couch, a table, a couple of chairs. No secret laboratories or spy gadgets. At the table sat a woman, about 40, in a dark blue blazer. A laptop and some papers in front of her. She looked up at me. Thank you for coming. Please have a seat. I sank into a chair, feeling everything inside me tighten. What the hell is going on? She sighed. Mr. Henderson, your DNA test showed anomalous results. Yeah, I noticed. Have you ever wondered if you're different from others? I looked at her in confusion. In what way? Did you get sick less often than others? Did your wounds heal faster? Have you ever had a blood transfusion? I was taken aback. Well, yes, I've got good health. But what does that prove? The man in the suit, who had been standing by the door, spoke up for the first time. Your DNA isn't human. I scoffed. Are you serious? What is this, a prank? The woman opened the laptop, turned the screen toward me. Look, this is a standard human genetic code. On the screen were ordinary graphs that meant nothing to me. And this is yours. I didn't understand what I was seeing. The difference was huge. Where a normal person had clear sequences, mine was chaos. This must be a mistake. The woman looked me straight in the eyes. We did a retest. For times, I felt a cold sweat break out on my back. What are you suggesting? I'm not human. We don't know who you are, Mr. Henderson. But you're not alone. She handed me a folder. I opened it. There were photographs. People of various ages, different races. Names, birth dates. These are the ones who also have non-standard DNA? Exactly. I slowly flipped through the pages, then froze. My photo. I looked back at them. What do you want from me? The woman leaned forward. We want to help you understand the truth. But you'll have to accept that the life you knew will never be the same again. One question pulsed in my mind. How the hell is this possible? Episode 5. Deeper into the rabbit hole. Wait, I raised my hand, as if trying to stop a wave. Are you seriously saying I am not human? The woman in the dark blue blazer carefully closed the laptop. We're saying your genetic code is significantly different from human. That's impossible. I nervously laughed. I'm not some kind of alien. The man in the suit, who had been silent up until now, finally spoke. We don't know what you are. His words made me fall silent. I looked again at the folder with the photographs. People of different ages, races, from all over the world. All of them. Like me? How many of us are there? The woman thought for a moment. The exact number is unknown. But we've tracked around 30 cases in the past 10 years. And what happened to them? She looked me in the eyes again. Most of them disappeared. A cold sweat ran down my back. What does that mean? Who took them? That's exactly what we're trying to figure out, she said. I grabbed the folder and flipped through the pages. Is there anyone who survived? Anyone who answered you? The woman nodded and pulled out another sheet. I looked at it. The photo was of a young woman, about 25, with short dark hair and an intense gaze. Lillian Carter, the woman said. She also received results similar to yours. And she ran from the government, from those who were looking for her. She knew something we don't. I stared at her photo. Where is she now? The last time she was seen was 3 months ago in Seattle. She left us a message. I lifted my head. What message? The woman opened the laptop and played a video. The camera shook, as if Lillian was filming on her phone. She was scared but tried to stay calm. If you're watching this, it means you're like me. They will come for you. Run. Don't trust anyone. This is bigger than you can imagine. She took a deep breath, as if gathering her strength. Find him. He knows the truth. The video cut off. I felt like the ground was slipping away from under me. Who do I need to find? The woman sighed heavily. We don't know. I rubbed my face. So what now? The man in the suit finally moved away from the wall. Now you decide, Mr. Henderson. You can go back to your life and try to forget about this. Or, the woman leaned forward, or you can start searching for answers. But be prepared. The answers may not be what you want to hear. I looked at Lillian's photo, then at the screen with her video. Something in her eyes made me make up my mind. Where can I find her? Episode 6. The Hunt Begins. I didn't need any convincing. My whole life, everything I knew about myself now seemed like a lie. If there was even the slightest chance of finding the truth, I had to take it. Where could she be? I asked, gripping the photo of Lillian tightly. The woman in the suit answered calmly, but with a hint of doubt. The last time she was seen was in Seattle. She booked a hotel room for a few days, then just disappeared. And that's it? I clenched my teeth nervously. You don't even know who she meant in the video? No. But we know she was looking for someone named Ezra. Ezra? I asked, trying to process the information. The woman shrugged. Just a name. Nothing more. No contacts, no photos. I stared at Lillian's photo. If she's alive, she knows more than I do. And if she's hiding, it means there's something to fear. Give me her last coordinates, I said firmly. The man in the suit glanced at the woman, and a brief silent conversation passed between them. All right, she finally said. But there's one problem. I raised an eyebrow. She's not the only one searching for answers. I felt my heart tighten. Who else? The man in the suit, who had barely spoken, crossed his arms. There are others who want to find her too, but not to help. Who are they? We don't know, but they move quickly. And if you head to Seattle, they'll notice. I sighed. That means I need to be careful. It means if you find Lillian, you'll have to run with her. I paused. Stay here? Live in ignorance? Or take a step into the unknown? I stood up. I'm going to Seattle. The woman nodded and handed me a small envelope. Here's the address of the hotel where she stayed last. We can't help you anymore, but be careful. I took the envelope and glanced at the man in the suit. Good luck, he said briefly. Opening the door, I took a deep breath and walked out of the room. I didn't know yet, but I was already too late. Episode 7. Shadow in the Dark. Seattle greeted me with rain and a cold wind. The streets, soaked by gusts, reflected the neon lights from signs. These landscapes reminded me of noir films, dark, mysterious, and seemingly begging for secrets to be uncovered. And I had no intention of leaving those secrets unsolved. The hotel where Lillian had stayed last turned out to be small and unremarkable. I tried not to draw attention to myself, focusing on not missing a single detail. The doors were painted a pale green, with a few posters about local events hanging on the wall, but everything seemed stale and outdated. I stepped inside. There was no one in the lobby. Only the familiar sounds of an old TV and the musty smell of cleaning products. I approached the front desk. "Hello," I said, looking at the woman who was taking papers from the safe. "I need to know where Lillian Carter stayed." She lifted her gaze. There was no surprise or interest in her eyes, as if she had heard something like this many times before. "No one has stayed here with that name," she replied coldly. I felt my heart tighten. "Are you sure?" "I have information that she stayed here a few months ago." The woman looked at me, considering something. "You don't seem to be local. Where are you from?" I quickly composed myself. "From another city." She sighed and tilted her head as if trying to assess whether it was worth continuing the conversation. "She left a phone number, if that helps," she finally said, and pulled a small card from a drawer. I felt warmth spread through my chest as she handed me the note. "But be careful. This is not a safe place. Because last night, some people came by who you'd be better off avoiding. You don't want to deal with them." I thanked her and hurried out of the lobby. The rain pounded harder against the windows, but I no longer paid attention to the weather. My mind was focused on one thing. I was now almost certain that Lillian had been here, and if I could get this phone number, it might be my only chance to learn the truth. But the more I thought, the more I realized I was being watched. I didn't notice when exactly, but I could feel it. The shadows on the streets had grown thicker, and even in the brightest places, it seemed like every passerby was staring at me too intently. I glanced at the phone number. The simplicity of the note struck me. No additional details, just numbers. I decided to make the call. The phone picked up on the first ring. "Yes?" The voice on the other end was firmer than I had expected. "Lillian Carter?" I asked, gripping the phone. Silence. Then a disappointed voice. "Sorry, but you've got the wrong number." I felt a chill run through me. "Who is this?" "It doesn't matter." "Good luck, Mr. Henderson." And the line went dead. I stood there, not believing what had just happened. This wasn't a coincidence. Someone among these people knew me, and they had started looking for me. Now, I wasn't just a target. I had become a part of a game I didn't yet understand. But the time had come to find out who was behind all of this. Episode 8. Shadow of the Truth. Seattle had become even more mysterious. The winds brought with them an unknown threat, one that seemed to consume my thoughts more and more. I felt like I was on the verge of something big, something that would change my life forever, something I couldn't and didn't want to understand, yet couldn't leave behind. My phone kept ringing. At first, it was from unfamiliar numbers, then local ones. For the first time, I saw the word shadow appear on the screen. Holding my breath, I answered, but the line was empty, only a faint crackling sound in the receiver. I quickly hung up, but I could feel the sweat forming on my brow. Someone or something was always behind me, and that feeling didn't leave me even in the silence of the room. I sat in the hotel, trying to gather my thoughts. Lillian was alive. I believed that, but who was behind her disappearance? What is Ezra? And why were they trying so hard to keep me from the truth? In that moment, I realized it was time to act. My intuition told me. Lillian hadn't just disappeared. She was part of something much bigger. She could be the key to something I hadn't even begun to understand. I dialed the number again, the one where Shadow had appeared. This time, they answered immediately. "Who are you?" I tried to speak calmly, but I felt my voice betraying my anxiety. "You won't believe it, but everything you want to know has been right in front of you." The voice was calm, yet there was an undertone of unease. "What do you mean by that?" I asked, feeling the pressure of the atmosphere closing in on me. Lillian Carter didn't just disappear. She has the same questions you do. The answers are hidden far away, and you're already on your way to them. How do you know who I am? My suspicion grew, and I could feel my nerves beginning to break. "You have no way out," said the voice from the shadow, and I felt the cold in its words, making me shiver. "We know more than you want to know." Lillian knew that too, but she was scared. "Now it's your turn to learn the truth." And the line went dead again. I was left alone in the room with my questions. What did they mean? Lillian knew more? And why now? Had they decided to come after me? I decided to take the risk. I felt that the longer I stayed in one place, the closer they were getting to me. The ones who wanted to stop me. If I wanted to find answers, I had to move forward, even if it meant I would be dragged into a game whose rules I didn't understand. I headed to the nearest cafe, where I could think quietly. The streets were eerily quiet, too quiet for this city I knew. Every passerby seemed foreign, every glance a threat. The cafe looked like a typical place to relax, but I felt there was more behind its walls than met the eye. I sat at a table when I heard a faint rustling from behind. "You came." I didn't turn around, but I could feel my body tense. "You again?" I whispered loudly, barely daring to glance over my shoulder. It felt like this voice had become my ghost. The woman in the black coat blended in with the crowd, but I knew for certain her appearance was far from accidental. "I was here when you began your journey," she said coldly, sitting next to me. "But now you're heading into a part of this world where it's best to be alone. Are you ready for that?" I looked at her. Her eyes were empty, like windows into another world. If you want to know who you are and why all of this is happening, I can help, she added quietly, almost as if to me. My heart skipped a beat. She didn't just know me. She knew things I might not want to know. Will you tell me who I am? I asked, feeling my voice betray me. I'll tell you, but not now, she replied, standing up. You're not ready. And again, without a sound, she disappeared into the shadows, just like Lillian had. My hand reached for the phone, but before I could dial, I remembered. I was just beginning my game, and this game was only gaining momentum. Episode 9. The Key to Everything. Seattle no longer seemed like just a city. It had become a shadowy corridor, where every turn promised new, terrifying mysteries. I felt every moment grow heavier, the atmosphere thick enough to slice with a knife. My thoughts no longer belonged to me. They were torn to pieces like a mirror that had shattered, and I was trying to gather it, searching for a reflection that no longer existed. Everything I touched turned out to be a deception. The shadows that haunted me never gave me peace. Lillian. Why did her name sound like a challenge? What if she was only a part of this grand puzzle, and I was the last piece that hadn't yet fallen into place? I sat in my room, nervously glancing at my phone, waiting for the next call. The shadows of the past felt closer, and the answer I was searching for seemed farther away. Then, a new number appeared on the screen. My heart grew heavy, but I didn't hesitate. I answered, "Yes." "Hello, Mr. Henderson." The voice was low and steady, like the sharp strike of a hammer on steel. "You could say you're nearing the end of your game." I didn't respond, gathering my strength. All the thoughts in my head merged into a single storm. Why did they want to stop me? What were they trying to hide? "You, like her, have become part of this." The voice on the other end of the line went quiet, as if searching for the right words. "This experience is not for everyone." I held my breath, but still asked, "Who are you?" "I am what you are looking for, but don't want to find." Those words hit my soul like a heavy stone. My heart suddenly thudded in my chest. Lillian. She was part of this too, wasn't she? You used her. She was more than just a part of it. The voice on the other end grew even colder. She was the last key. Just like you. Something shifted in the air. The shadows seemed even more alive. I felt them surround me, invisible threads pulling me in from every direction, trapping me in something dark. "You're not just a human," said the voice, and I felt a chilling cold seep through me. "You're part of a bigger program. You have a choice. Continue, knowing that the truth will change you forever, or forget it all and leave it behind. You're not ready for what you'll find." All my strength, all my determination, suddenly came together in one moment. This was not an ordinary choice. It was the temptation to face reality. I took a step forward, though deep inside, I felt that I wouldn't turn back. I was already too deep to stop. "I'm ready," I said, feeling the words heavy on my lips. It wasn't just a desire to find answers. It was my last hope, my only chance to touch the truth. "Good," the voice replied. "You'll become part of it all. Your true nature is waiting for you to discover it." And then, for a moment, everything went quiet. But only for a moment. From that moment on, I felt my mind begin to tear apart. I saw more than I could bear. What I learned about myself made every atom in my body tremble. I realized that everything I had been searching for, it wasn't just the truth. It was a transformation that flipped the very essence of my existence. The shadows around me began to fade. I saw myself, not as I was, but as I was meant to be. What if I wasn't human? What if I was part of an experiment? And Lillian, maybe she was just one of us? Only in that moment of realization did I understand. I wasn't just searching for answers. I found myself in what had already become part of me. And that was terrifying because the truth I had uncovered had no boundaries. The camera slowly rises to my face. I see myself, but I don't recognize me. In my eyes, fear, determination, and an uncontrollable desire to know more. And at that very moment, the camera abruptly cuts off, leaving me and you with the shadows that will remain forever. The end.